Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am super stoked to be doing this video. I have been scouring eBay looking for a good deal on a Capra because I'm too cheap to buy a new one. And I came across a brand new, in the box, Capra Builder's Kit. I don't know when they stopped releasing these, but it's been a little while. So I was very excited to find this kit. Brand new in the package, seal still on it. This is exactly what I've been looking for two reasons. Number one, I love building kits. I think it is a great way to learn the vehicle completely through. I love building it. I love everything that goes into it. I've been wanting to put a kit together now for a little while, so I'm very excited about having this. And the second reason, I've actually been needing a set of Capra axles for a while for a project that I'm working on, kind of on the side right now. And so my intention is to steal the Capra axles and put 10.2 axles on this chassis. But that is further down the road. Right now, all we're gonna do is put this together. So without any more ado, I got a fresh blade on my, no going back now. Oh, I'm excited for this. So, as you can tell, we have everything brand new, sealed in the bags, Capra Builder Kit. I haven't seen one of these for sale in a very long time, so I'm actually really excited to see this. So right now, we are going to pull all of these out. These wheels we will not be using, so we're just gonna put those off to the side. We've got shocks, we've got links, but most importantly, the instructions. So with that, we'll throw the box back there. I think we're just gonna get into this. So if you are new to this channel, I actually did this last year with my 10.2 kit, which turned into, let me go get it, this mostly stock Axial 10.2 kit that I put together on the channel last year. I will put the video up in the corner here. I'll get into this in another video, but that's not why we're here. We are here for the Capra. However, the reason I brought that up, like the 10.2, what I did was mostly uncut video of me putting it together over, I don't know, 4 or 5 videos, and I think we're gonna do the same with this. If you're like me, I love when I'm wrenching on RC stuff, when I'm, I don't know, commuting, when I'm whatever. I love putting these videos on just to have as background noise. Kind of why I'm doing this, to help anyone else who might, I don't know, want to put this on while they're doing something else. If you can stand listening to me for that long, let's just start this. So we're gonna start with bag A, which is the axles. So for now, we are going to take all of the unneeded stuff, like the chassis components, and put them off to the side here. We got body panels, we got drive shafts, we got both axles, we got shocks. So right now, we are just going to focus on bag A. And I can't tell you, like I said, I have been wanting to put a kit together for a long time. My buddies earlier in the year built the associated DR10, I think it's called. I can't remember. It's the associated drag kit, and watching them build a kit made me very, very jealous. And so I'm excited to finally have something to build myself. What you cannot see, and this is on purpose, is on either side of me is just piles of other projects and stuff. I just kind of pushed everything off to the side so that I could do this video. But when I did that, I found my little magnetic mat. So it looks like we're going to start with bag A1, which is the diff gears. So they put a little piece of, like a little label on it, on the edge of the thing to make you think that they taped it off, but then they sealed it anyways. So we're gonna have to cut it open. Okay, not that that matters. In the trash, okay, so we got our ring and pinion gear. All of this looks really well machined. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. That looks really well made. And we got some of my ever trusty thread lock, although it does Oh, I don't know. Maybe I should use the axial stuff. It does come in the kit with thread lock. That's interesting. But I'm going to use the tube that I've already got. I know it. I trust it. So let's do that. We got bag A2. Interesting. So we are going to need some M2 screws. Okay, here we go. I thought everything was going to be in bag A1. That is not the case. Bag A2 contains the universals, as well as all of the hardware we're going to need. Okay, so we take our pinion gear. Also, side note, I know these are called the ring and pinion. Which one's the ring and which one's the pinion gear? I can never keep it straight. Not that that matters. I don't know. Leave it in the comments if you know. I want to say this is the ring gear and this is the pinion gear, but I don't know. Right. And they do have... Okay, so we're going to need 6 of these 6mm M2 screws. Unfortunately, the instructions do have a little measuring thing. That's 5. We need one more. There's one more. Okay. This is an MIP 1.5mm driver. I do have these dynamite drivers that I've been using for a little while now. I have no issues with them, but I broke my 1.5 driver for the dynamite, and all I have is this. So I've been using this by hand, which is not the most convenient, but it does work, especially because these little screws typically don't need a lot of torque on them. So we got, make sure I line this up correctly. I've been building kits for a long time now. I've been in RC stuff for about, let me think, probably about 26, 27 years now. There was a pretty lengthy hiatus, so I wasn't doing it. So I started when I was about 14, 15. Yeah, so it's probably been about 20 years. And I was really involved for quite a while, and then kind of got out of it when I was early to mid 20s. I kind of lost interest, and then in my early 30s I picked it up again. I am I'll be 35 this year, which is very hard to believe to me, but yeah, so I've been doing it. I don't know, it feels disingenuous to say for 20 years because there was such a large chunk of time that I was not involved in radio control, like at all. I wasn't watching on YouTube, I wasn't looking up stuff online or message boards or Facebook groups or anything. But that being said, I have built my fair number of kits over the years. And let me tell you, it's kind of daunting. If you've never put one together before, it can be kind of daunting. But to me, there's just nothing better. Like I said, you get to learn the vehicle like completely through and through. All right, I gotta make sure I line this up. I'll pay attention to this, like so. And it's just great because, like, if something goes wrong, you know exactly how to fix it. I mean, you put it there in the first place. And so you, like, really understand what it takes to fix something. Which I really love. So... Okay. And this is going together really smoothly. All right, this is where we're going to use a little bit of the supplied grease. Is that... Okay, so it looks like I need to take some snippers. I hope I did that right. There we go. Yeah, anyways, so I was saying that it can be a little daunting because, you know, it is, if you're not paying attention, it can be very easy to mess it up. But if you've ever like played with Legos before or built IKEA furniture or something, like, it's really not that bad. Just most instructions are pretty good about, you know, telling you exactly what you need to do. And obviously the more you do it, the better you get at it. But the first one can be a little daunting. Right. You don't need a whole lot of grease in there. And then that goes like so. I think. Is that right? I always like to spin that around a little bit just to make sure the grease is nice and spread. I'm actually going to put in a little bit more. It's something like not quite enough. I am in the camp that you can never have too much grease. I know obviously that's not true. You can put in too much grease, but as long as it's not like drowning in it, I'm like, meh, it's probably good. Just add a little more in there, right? Can't hurt. All right, it's feeling pretty good. We'll take one more look. Nice and gooey. We'll put in just one more dollop. Yeah, sure, why not? I don't know. Like I said, I put my fair number of these together before, but that doesn't mean I'm not saying I'm an expert. And anybody who does is probably, I don't know, maybe they're right. Probably getting paid to do it. Okay, next up is these big old 2.5 guys. All right. And I think at this point, we are going to switch over to the trusty impact driver. And I have not charged the battery in a little while, so hopefully it lasts. As always, we are only going to tighten them most of the way. And then we will finish that off by hand. I cannot tell you, once I got this thing, if you're gonna build a kit, this is great. An electric screwdriver of some kind makes it go so much faster. With that being said, this is overkill. This is way too much. As an additional hobby, I like to do woodworking, building furniture. And so that's what I use this for. For radio control purposes, it is very much unnecessary to have that level of power. Where's my screwdriver here? Am I missing one? I feel like I'm missing one. Nope, here we go. Yeah, it is unnecessary to have that much horsepower when putting a kit together, and you have to be very, very careful because it's very, very easy to strip out a screw. Okay, but that is together. That's feeling good. Okay, now something I have never done before, never even owned a set before, and that's portal gears, or portal axles. Excuse me, I've never used portal axles before. So this is going to be rather interesting for me. And this is where I want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. Might help if I start with the right piece. Okay, that goes there, and that goes there. Okay. And let's see, then we have, maybe I should be starting with this end. All right, so we're gonna start with the knuckle end. I was starting with like the cap. I think that's a bad idea. let's start with the knuckle end. Let's see. It's kind of hard to... Honestly, it's kind of hard to mess these up. Kits, that is. Because I think they try to make it just about as easy as they can to put them together, so it's really hard to mess them up because parts really only go in one place. I think it's easy to forget to put something in, but it's very difficult to put the wrong part in the wrong area. Okay, here we go. That gets some black grease. Again, just enough to kind of coat the gears. That's, I don't know. Guess we'll go with more. I am a little bit, I don't want to, my concern is I don't want to put on so much grease as I'm putting it together that, you know, by the time I get to the transmission, there's none left. That would not be good. All right, so what's kind of interesting is there's this gear that goes, I don't know what this gear is called, but it sits on top of this bottom gear, and it just kind of sits there. There's nothing holding it in until you put the universal in. So it just kind of sits there for now. So that's kind of interesting. Right, but it looks like that's it. That's pretty simple. Honestly, I kind of expected that to be a lot more involved. I guess I didn't realize that the knuckle assembly was going to be kind of easy. It's literally just 2 gears. But like I said, this is my first portal axle kit assembly that I've ever put together. So I am learning all about this. Ultimately, I think these axles, like I said, are going to go under a project that I'm working on right now. I don't know how long that project will last. My buddies and I are doing a top truck challenge build, and so they're going to go in that because I need the width of the axles. I tried like AR60s, Wraith axles, SMT 10 axles, and that was just too wide. And so I settled on the Capra axles. Okay, yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, that gear really does. Is that okay? There's nothing holding that gear in place other than the universal. And I mean, the universal slots into a bearing so it stays centered. That's interesting. I wouldn't have expected that. But anyways, what was I saying? Right, so we're doing the Top Truck Challenge build. I don't know, like once I build it and drive it and like we do the competition and everything, I may then just tear it back down. But ultimately these axles will probably go on my 1.9 crawler, and then the 10.2 axles will go onto the Capra, which actually I'm really excited about. But anyways, that's for another day. Now we are going to take more bearings. I love me a good set of bearings. Oh, come on. Okay. Those just get press fit in there. I like to see that the axles are one piece. All of this is one piece. And then you can pull the diff cover off to get to the diff. And then the universals just slot in through the bearing. Yep, there they go. We'll put in the other one. Okay. So we have one of the knuckles done. I suppose I should probably build the other one now. So we line up the bearings. And I do have a number of upgrades planned for these axles. I'm probably going to do like brass knuckles just to get a little bit of extra weight, and and stuff like that. But for now, we're going to build the axle, or sorry, we're going to build the kit stock. We're just going to build it the way that Axial intended from the very beginning, because I don't have any of those upgrades on hand yet. I haven't bought any. I'm also a big believer in driving things the way they are. So like driving something stock instead of just immediately going in for upgrades, because as you drive it, you will start to see what needs to be added or removed or whatever changed. And it gives you a very good idea of what you would like to do, instead of just, you know, all at once being like, oh, well, people always upgrade this, so that's what I'll upgrade. You know what I mean? Gives you a chance to actually drive the truck and see how you like it before you commit to buying anything else for it. Right. But we have the second knuckle done, which means the front axle is almost done, which I know axles are pretty straightforward. Straight axles especially are pretty straightforward. But it does always surprise me just how quickly and easy it is to put them together. It really doesn't take much effort at all. That's what's kind of cool. At least I'm curious to see how this one goes. But when I was putting the 10.2 together, it kind of surprised me. You know, you build the axles, you build the shocks, you build the transmission, and then you just kind of bolt it all together. I mean, obviously you still have like the links and the shock towers and all that stuff, but it's kind of cool how, like, oh boy, put my finger in the thread lock, little puddle of thread lock I got over here. But anyways, it surprises me just how quickly kits like this don't go together, because I've built like racing back in the day. I used to race a lot, and you know, I used to put a lot of the race kits together, and I felt like those just took forever to do. Come on. You know, you got so much that you have to worry about between all the steering assembly and the, you know, diff assembly, the camber, the offset, the toe in, all that stuff you got to worry about, which just is not really a problem with these kits, you know, because the axle takes care of all the toe in and the camber and all that, and of course there's no diff, everything's locked out. Okay, now in doing the knuckles, I always, this universal keeps sliding out. I always like to tighten them down until it's very, very stiff, and then I like to back out just a little bit, little by little, until it's nice and free. Okay, looks like I might actually need to loosen this bottom one. Okay, feels pretty good. That way, you know, I know the knuckles are in there nice and tight. Do the same with this side. You kind of, because that gear is kind of loose floating around in there, you kind of have to get it to line up on the universal before you can, wait a minute. Did I do this right? Yes, there we go. I've also put knuckles in the wrong side around lots and lots of times. Let's try this one here. So that I'll put the, you know, the left knuckle will go on the right side, and then it's just all messed up. Steering is all messed up. Okay, so we've got pretty stiff. We'll loosen that up again. Sometimes they have like little shims or something to put in. It's not the case here. And it's, if I'm being perfectly honest, it's not as like free as I thought it would be. It is still pretty, like, I've loosened those screws up quite a bit, and it's still kind of stiff. But maybe as it gets used. All right, but there we have a front axle. Yeah, look at that. I'm not, again, not used to portal axles, but look at that clearance. That's insane. Right, anyways, with that, bag A is done. Now we move on to the rear axle. And this should be even more straightforward because we don't have any knuckles to put together. Okay, throw that away. One of the other reasons, I've learned this about myself, one of the other reasons I really like putting the kits together is because I find that in many instances, I actually, like, this is the part of the hobby that I have more fun with. The building I find much more rewarding than the driving. As much as I enjoy the driving, which I do, the building is what really really interests me. I think that's what initially got me into radio control stuff. My very first car, well, my very first car was, I don't know what it was called, one of those old Radio Shack ones. It took 8 AA batteries, I think, in the car itself, non-rechargeable, so it didn't come with a rechargeable battery. So when I wanted to drive the car, I had to put in brand new AA batteries, and I would drive it for 10-15 minutes and they would die, and then I would have to get more AA batteries. It was awful. It was so bad. It was exactly what you think it was, you know, barely any suspension, no power, no speed. From there I moved to a Traxxas Rustler, which I actually have. That guy right there is a Traxxas Rustler that I've slowly been building up. And that one is actually, I bought it off Facebook Marketplace a couple years ago. It is the same model Traxxas Rustler that I had when I was 13, 12, something like that. Like I know they still make the Traxxas Rustler and everything, but this was the 1990s version, and I bought it. And I've replaced nearly everything on it at this point. Believe it or not, it was a pile of parts basically. Everything was bent or rusted or broken, and I've just slowly but surely been replacing everything and building it up. And now it's like full RPM everything, brushless motor, you know. Not all the bells and whistles, but it is fairly upgraded. But that one's been a lot of fun to drive around, especially at the beach. But anyways, so that was my first real RC car, was the Traxxas Rustler, and I had a lot of fun with it, a lot of fun. And then, anyways, I'm not gonna give you my full, I'm not gonna go into my full radio control history here, but. I have owned just about everything, including racing. I did pan car, 12th scale pan car racing for a little while. I also did two-wheel drive buggy racing for a little bit. I have never owned an on-road car. That is the only car type that I have never owned. I've done stadium trucks, I've done monster trucks, I've done rock crawlers, of course. I've done pan cars, I've done two-wheel drive buggies, two-wheel drive trucks, four-wheel drive trucks. Never an on-road car. And kind of feel like I'm missing out. Every now and then I get the urge to go pick one up to do like drifting or I don't know, something. And I don't know, maybe one day that urge will get the better of me. But for now, we're sticking with the off-road stuff. Actually, this one here, this is my SMT-10. That's my first ever real solid axle monster truck. I had like Clodbusters and TXTs and stuff back in the day, but I always built them up as rock crawlers. This is my first ever, oh boy, come on, solid axle monster truck that is like, that I left as a, boy, this does not want to go in there, come on. Oh boy, it is kind of late tonight. I'm doing this, it's about 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night. And what is... There we go. Jeez, finally. Okay. Took me a little while. Well, I don't like that. Probably because it's not the right one. Here we go. All right, that screw... That screw did not grab in, it just kind of slipped right in, and I got all concerned that there was a problem from the factory. But it was just me grabbing the wrong screw, that's all it was. So... as I mentioned, it is 9:30 at night when I'm putting this kit together. I'm getting pretty tired, so I'm hoping that I don't make any grave mistakes due to being tired. But I think what'll happen is once I finish this axle, we are going to call it a night. So we have the main part of the axle. Next up is the portal part, and I think like before, we are going to build it from the axle end out. Let's see, we have some gears that I gotta figure out which ones go where, or not gears, some bearings. Oh boy, okay, come on. If you are building a kit, make sure, I can't tell you how many times I've done this, make sure you get those bearings pushed all the way in. Everything works a lot better when bearings are seated correctly. Now, I will say these bearings do look pretty beefy, which I like to see. Did I do that right? Oh no. Alright, what did I do wrong? I think I put a bearing where there isn't supposed to be a bearing. Of course, right after I say I'm getting pretty tired. Let's see if I can get it out. Come on. There we go. Okay. So bearings only go in the bottom spot, not the top. Which is funny because there is definitely... Well, I guess that maybe that's where the gear goes. There's definitely a recess where you could very easily put a bearing. But clearly you're not supposed to, which I find kind of interesting. I wonder why that is. I don't know, but I don't like it. I feel like there should be a bearing there. But whatever. I'm not an engineer. So next go these little stub axle things. Those slot in there, and then the little gear goes up there. Okay. Take that out. Before I do anything, let's put some more grease on there. I want to make sure that everything is nice and gooey in there. Keep that heat down. Help with the wear and tear. Okay. Now we can put that guy back in. I don't know. Going back to my previous conversation, I'm just rambling. Do you guys have a preference? Do you prefer kits? Do you prefer ready to run? Obviously ready to run, you know, you pull it out of the box and you're ready to go. Is that what you prefer? Do you prefer kits? I mean, obviously I made my opinion now. I love kits. I think they're tons of fun. I also loved Lego as a kid though, so that was the kind of kid I was. But I also understand, you know, just wanting to be able to open the box and pull everything out and just go have fun with it, you know, charge the battery and you're done. I've had plenty of ready-to-run kits in my day. right. But we're coming to an end here. And I'm kind of ready. I'm ready to go to bed, I think. Oh boy, it's been a long day. Come on. There we go. So we got this side, it's just about done. We just need to get this screw in there. Okay, I'll go through and tighten them all by hand, because again, we don't want to strip those screws out. Good. Good, and good. All right. Just gonna spin things around and make sure that grease is nice and spread out. And one of my buddies will like hook this up to a drill to help wear the gears in. You know, once he finishes putting an axle together, he'll like chalk this up in a drill and just kind of spin it for a minute or two, just to help get those gears, like I said, broken in. I kind of think that's a good idea. I haven't yet done it myself. I usually just slap in the battery, and that's when I go, I did it again. Gotta get this thread lock out of here. I keep putting stuff in there. Okay. Good. More grease. Oh boy. So much grease. But other than this, the only grease I'll need now is in the transmission. And there is plenty left in there. So that's good to see. Drop that in there. I've also heard of people, kind of on a side note, I've heard of people filling the axle tube with grease. Since grease is hydrophobic, meaning that it will repel water, the thinking is to keep water from getting into the gears and the bearings and all that. They'll just load that up with grease as like a kind of protective barrier. I've never done it, so I can't speak to the to how well that would work, but it makes sense to me. But I also feel like if you're trying to keep water out of your bearings that much, just run bushings. I mean, obviously bushings aren't great from a performance standpoint, especially if you're trying to get every bit of performance that you can. But if you're just building a trail truck and you're not really worried about performance, I mean, bushings are kind of the way to go. You can run them through water and mud and sand and grit and dirt, and they never really have to worry about them. Whereas bearings, you really need to keep an eye on, make sure you clean them out and grease them and all that stuff. Okay, but with that, we now have 2 functioning axles. They are pretty wide, honestly. Capra axles are known for being wide. I would like to be in the room when Axial designed the Capra. Like, I'm wondering why they went so wide on the axles, because the Capra cage is really narrow, and then the axles are really wide. It's just kind of bizarre. But I like them. Like I said, I bought these for my Top Truck Challenge kit mainly, and I think they're going to be the perfect width for me. They went together super easily, really, really easily. So that's always a good thing. I don't know how many of you are still left watching, but if you are, thank you very much. We are going to put this down for the night, and we are going to pick it up with bag, let's see what's next. I believe it'll be bag C. This is the shocks. Next video will be all of the shocks being put together. I have used Capra shocks before. I think they're pretty good shocks. I have no issues with them. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy this. Like I said, I kind of try to do this with every new kit I buy, just so you have something to put on in the background while you're maybe building your own kit, or I don't know, doing your own thing. This is not really meant to be a tutorial. If you do have any questions though, feel free to leave a comment below. I am happy to answer any that I can. Until the next time, we will see you in the next video. See ya.